What's up, y'all, and thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T, and tonight I give my thoughts after watching NXT. This is afterthought, and let's get into tonight's program. NXT opened with a new $1 million champion, Cameron Grimes, accompanied by Ted DiBiase. It was a great in ring segment. DiBiase and Grimes have great rapport, and it's great to see Grimes as a new champion. He asked, "Where does Grimes go from here? Where do I go from here?" And all the $1 million man had to say was to the moon. And like I said, it was really, really great to see them together. And it was great to see Grimes as a new champion. Now, Ridge Holland, accompanied by the bruiserweight Pete Dunne, and he took on Timothy Thatcher, accompanied by Tommaso Ciampa. And Holland won the match, and Birch and Lorcan lay out Ciampa and take out Thatcher. This marks a return after 5 months for Danny Birch. And of course, they lost their titles due to his injury, which I don't know, understand why that would happen. Why did he just give, why did they make, what do you call it, Pete Dunne the partner for Danny? I mean, for Oni, and then they could have kept the titles, but they decided to strip him of the titles. So we know that, and we know that there is now an ongoing, thing going on with these gentlemen. Carmelo Hayes, he was talking backstage, and he says that he's not an underdog. He is an overdog. Because why shouldn't he look at himself other than great? That's true. If you're destined for greatness, if you feel that you're on that path, why think of yourself any lower than what, Carmelo Hayes said, right? He said he's an overdog. First time I ever heard that word, but it does sound kind of like a way to think when it comes to you reaching for greatness. Now, Index, they have set their Tuesday, September 14th as their date for their wedding. And we are all all cordially invited, and I'm going to be looking in my mail for an invite. Now, JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, they are rising stars in the women's division, and they tag up and they take on Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. Now, this match, as much as I like all four ladies, I think that JC Jane and Gigi Dolan are really, really great works in progress. It's good to see that they put two different ladies that we have not seen as much. We've seen them, of course, but they're now highlighting and spotlighting new talent. And despite that, and of course Casey Catanzaro and Kane Carter, they're a great team, but there's no chemistry between these two teams. It just seemed like the match was so. And in the end, we see Catanzaro and Carter hit that double team, where Casey Catanzaro comes off the top rope, either at 630 or 450, and she, you know, hits their opponent with the move, and then that's it. Kane Carter has her held up, and they finish that. They do that finisher move, and they were able to defeat their teammates. I mean, their teammates, their opponents, and then they are pounding on the announce desk, shouting over and over again that they want a title shot. Where are the tag team titles? Because that's true. They've been winning, and they've been doing really, really well, and yet no title shot. Hopefully, William Regal will watch this match and keeps watching them because they deserve a title shot. Now, Raquel Gonzalez, she's interviewed backstage, asked about what she thinks about Kaylee Ray kind of taking her spotlight when she won her match at Takeover 36. And Raquel Gonzalez says that she has been waiting for Kaylee Ray to come across the pond, talking about her 600 plus day reign, and everybody knows the dominant champion she was at NXT UK. And then all of a sudden in comes Frankie Monet, who I think would be one of her opponents. She's a former Impact champion, and she's very, very well accomplished where she's been. But she's been taking her time, and we've been seeing her week to week. And sometimes she loses, sometimes she wins, but she's pretty impressive. But she pretty much says to the champion, she says, you don't have to worry about getting your head kicked off by your little friend. And she says that I'll take your shine and your title. So she's very confident. Kaylee Ray came out. She wrestled, but she didn't really do nothing or address, the champion. But I'll talk about that match a little bit later. Now, Odyssey Jones talks about taking the negative and turning it into positives. I mean, he was asked by the interviewer, "What is it about you? Why are you so positive?" And that's what he does. Something that we all should do is that if there's negatives in our way, try to look at the positive about it from it, and take that and keep moving on. And he also talks about his journey to get to WWE was quick, 5 years. And Jones looks to win because he got to win. And we'll see what happens in that match later on. Now, Katie Ray, she takes on this opponent, Valentina. I didn't get the last name. As many times as the commentator said her last name, I still couldn't get it. But she's all bedazzled with these feathers on her shoulders and a hat, whatever she has on. And the former NXT Women's Champion just takes it to her opponent. Now, this Valentina chick is tough and talented, but Kaylee Ray wore her down and took her out with the Gory Bomb. And what an impactful debut. Like I said earlier, she didn't address the champion. She didn't take the mic. She didn't cut a promo. She just basically looked in the camera and pretty much saying that I'm here and I've arrived and all that. Because she definitely has. And now I think that the women's division really needs to be now on their toes. Because this girl is not a joke. Been watching her in NXT UK. And I've always been impressed with her, and I'm a big fan. And I think that she's going to do wonders for this division and make it even stronger than it is. Now, JC, Jane, and Gigi Dolan, they're backstage licking their wounds. Even the interviewer wanted to ask them what they thought about losing. And then they're asked if they never want to feel like losers again, or pretty much said if you never want to feel like that again, pretty much losers. Then come with her and never looked back. And who asked that was none other than Mandy Rose. And I noticed that the ladies looked at her like, kind of like looking at her like she's a stranger or what she's talking about yet. We saw her talking to them a few weeks ago. Well, let's see what Mandy Rose can do with them because Mandy Rose couldn't do anything with her and Dana Brooke on the main roster. So what could she possibly do for them? She's not a former champion. She hasn't done really anything that kind of raises your eyes. She's nice to look at. She does have skills and talent in the ring here and there. But really, what's she going to do? I mean, maybe she sees something that she can kind of bring out in them, I guess. But we'll see. Now, the new NXT champ is here. That's the three-time champion Samoa Joe. The first time ever in the history of NXT. And he says he's not here to celebrate because in the land of savages, there is no time to celebrate. He says he noticed that the mood changed when he's backstage, and who will step up to him and just not stare? They're staring at him. But how about you come into the ring and instead of staring at him, how about you step to him? And then it's Pete Dunne who steps up and tells Joe to meet with the GM Regal, his mate, as he says, and make the match. But then LA Knight proclaims himself Joe's first challenger and his last because he's going to take his NXT title. Then Kyle O'Reilly's music hits and he chats up the champ and the prospective challengers. He even puts down LA Knight, hilarious, La Knight. And, talking about how he should win the contest for the best, fake Stone Cold vest, something like that. Because the vest he has on kind of reminds you of a Stone Cold type of vest. It's pretty funny. And then Ridge Holland comes in. He was there in earlier in the match, and then he comes out and takes out O'Reilly. And then all hell breaks loose. Everybody from Pete Dunne and his boys, Lorcan and Birch to, Ciampa comes in. They're all beating on each other. They're all, trying to still get at each other and try to get some pieces off each other and, make their name and make their, to make their, what's the word? But, it's like they want to make their presence felt, I guess you could say. And then when you see that it's only Joe and Ciampa standing in the ring as Holland and his boys are going up the rampway, Then you see excuse me, you see Tommaso Ciampa eyeing the champ. So that's one opponent that I don't think that Joe was thinking about, a challenger, a possible challenger. I think it's time for Tommaso Ciampa to get back into the NXT title picture because Timothy Thatcher got taken out. Apparently he's injured. He's in the hospital. So hopefully that's not bad. He's been out with an injury before. So hopefully his momentum that he's been building up, Tommaso Ciampa doesn't get not Tommaso Ciampa, but Timothy Thatcher doesn't get you know a roadblock placed in front of it with an injury. Now Ted DiBiase now Cameron Grimes decides to return the title to him and says that he is he is the $1 million champion. He is the $1 million man. The legacy should always be with him. But then he takes it. But then he goes, "Hey, no, you know what? It's yours." Ted DiBiase says to Grimes. And then Grimes looks at it and goes, "It doesn't look the same." He turns it to the back. He, looks at the thing and it says that it's a replica belt of WWE and all that. And while Ted DiBiase's running, driving away with the real championship, but he's laughing. And then remember back to when he would always say, "Damn that Ted DiBiase," like that. He said that very thing, but he had a laugh and he had a smile on his face, and he said, pretty much knowing that he got by the real $1 million champion. And I think maybe this is the end of that good run. It was a good fun run with it, But who really does anybody want to see that as a regular belt? It's good for nostalgia. It goes way back to when TWC was active in the ring and when he was dominating WWE, being the $1 million man with that belt that he created and all that. And it was never meant to be a competitive belt, but I like what they did with it as long as it lasted. No, who knows? Maybe it's going to still be a title. We just have to wait and see. Now the NXT Breakout Star is about to be crowned, and the GM Regal is alongside with a contract for the championship of the winner's choosing. Now I picked Odyssey Jones, and I think he's going to win at this point, and I said that he will choose Carmelo Hayes because of his respect for him through the tournament and this match, and then he's going to choose him as a partner, and they're going to go after the tag team titles. Now, was I correct? Well, throughout the match, Hayes seemed to be using his speed to avoid the much bigger Jones. Jones would come at him, he would trip him, make him slam into the turnbuckle. He did the same thing, and it caused Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes caused Odyssey Jones to go shoulder first into the ring post. And then and in doing that, it just seems like Odyssey Jones was beating himself up. He was pretty much beating himself because he just kept taking those shots, and Carmelo Hayes was constantly getting out of his way. But Carmelo Hayes was going face to face and toe to toe, and he was hitting him with some devastating moves. But you can't knock down a 405-pounder like Odyssey Jones down that easily. But he got him on his knee at some points. But then Jones gets back into it, and then he hits a huge splash on Carmelo Hayes, and then he goes for the cover. But then he does that thing where he's laying on top of him. His back is on the on Carmelo Hayes, and he's pointing his hand up like this, counting. But then all that did was just open himself up to be like pinned, to be turned into a pinning combination, and Carmelo Hayes ends up pinning the much bigger Odyssey Jones. So I guess I was wrong, but both men shake hands, and they both got bloodied. I mean, Carmelo Hayes was bloody right here. I don't know if it was something of a small break or maybe it was just a cut. And then Odyssey Jones has a lot of blood coming out of his mouth, and they shake hands. And then I'm thinking, what championship is he gonna, you know, he's gonna go after? I'm thinking, he might go after the cruiserweight championship again because he wants maybe another shot at Kushida. But then I'm thinking he went there before, and if you're gonna have all those opportunities, titles, every title you can choose one, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe he'll go for the North American, maybe take a step and then go for the thing. But then when he was asked, because William Regal was on stage, hands up the contract, and I guess it was a open contract, so that all you got to do is just fill in the details, you'll sign it, and then he was asked, but then he said, yeah, it's too early. or too early to decide. So he decided not to, make his announcement then and there. But I wonder what title he's gonna go for. I'm thinking it would be so cool if he did go to Odyssey Jones and say that, you know what, man, I respect you. You really, really took me to the limit, and I really think that you and I can be great partners. Let's go after the tag team titles. That'd be good, man. I would think that'd be great because it's a good way to kind of reward Odyssey Jones as well. And I think that Carmelo Hayes looks like the kind of guy that would do that, that would want to include him because he took him to the limit and he was such a great opponent for him. So we'll see about that. And what's his decision going to be? About maybe next week. He'll give it, but who knows? Now, Pete Dunne, the NXT title. Burchin and Lorcan, Burchin and Lorcan, the NXT tag team titles, and Rich Holland just wants to send Ciampa to the hospital and lay beside Thatcher. Now, I said Pete Dunne because he's still eyeing the NXT title. He claims that Joe, every time they meet eye to eye, Joe has fear in his eyes and all that stuff, that he's scared of him. That's what he's insinuating. And then, of course, Burch and Lorcan claim, they're the uncrowned champion. They're still NXT tag team champions, because they were stripped of the titles. They didn't lose them. So I think that they have a definite claim and they should be number one contenders, because why not? Because they never lost the titles. Now, and I tell you, those four men, when they were on the stage, or when they were backstage talking, looked very impressive. It's like a makings of the next group faction in NXT. They look really, really good, really sharp. Like and I'm not talking about sharp, their clothes or everything. It's just that, man, they're just crisp and they're just such a great unit, and they really complement each other. And I can't wait to see what these guys will do. We've already seen, so should we shudder to think what they'll do next? They're a very, very accomplished quartet, and I think that eyeing those titles and eyeing destruction is going to be pretty tough, days at work when it comes to the other people, other guys that are going to have to face these guys. Now, Boa states that another victim will fall to Tian Sha. And a guy that his opponent is Zion Quinn. And that's his Boa's opponent, and he looks impressive. Tattoos, good shape. Looks like something out of like the video game Tekken, like one of those characters. And he looks impressive, but not so much against Boa. Well, that's what it was in the beginning, because man, was I wrong. As Quinn flies out of the corner and hits a flying forearm, so it looked like to me that would make Tito Santana proud. If those of you who don't know who Tito Santana is, Google it or look it up, and you'll watch some videos on how he delivered that flying forearm. Pretty impressive. And then Quinn goes up the rampway and he comes face to face with Mei Ying. And who would? It's like coming face to face with something from The Ring or from those Japanese horror films. She's pretty frightening and scary. I mean, even Big Bad Wade Barrett said that she hope she doesn't come over here, because I'm gonna be out of here. You know what I mean? And Quinn just does an about face, points to Bo and says, "You deal with that, man," because he knows that he's gonna deal with some brutal punishment from Mei Ying. And Quinn just hops over the barricade and heads out. I don't blame him. Who would want to deal with her, right? But I don't feel bad. I really don't envy Boa. I mean, I guess Xia Li is out with an injury, I guess. Because she kind of made it through the match with Raquel Gonzalez, but that twisting body, that elbow that was that Raquel Gonzalez did to her. I guess in the end it did take her out, but I don't know. I don't know if that's probably not even the injury that took her out, and I guess she's on the sidelines. I don't know, or maybe she's going through refresher training with the old man that was training them before in Tianjia. But now, backstage in Regal's office, and old Papa Johnny Gargano wants the marriage of Index to be canceled, but the GM says, "Hey, they fell in love in this channel, and I mean in this on the show in NXT, and they're gonna get married in NXT." And then he's like, he's saying yes, and Johnny's saying no, and he's saying yes. And then the reason why Real Mioga says that he wanted to keep doing that because he wanted to see Johnny go cuckoo and bananas. And then Johnny Gargano's going bananas, and then Rigo's going bananas. Like it's just hilarious. And then LA Knight comes in and says, "Do you see what happened out there?" And Real Rigo doesn't give a you know what, and he tells them both to get the hell out of his office. He doesn't want to deal with them. And then when they go out, he closes the door, and all he says is buffoons. What buffoons? I couldn't agree more. Now, Diamond Mine is in training session, and Malcolm Bivens announces that Roderick Strong will issue an open challenge next week. There's these two brothers that they're training with. I don't know, maybe they're going to be the with Hachiman, whatever, and see what these two brothers, if they're going to be part of the of Diamond Mine, because they lost Tyler Russ. As much as Tyler Russ was a decent talent in the ring, I think they need to bring in some stronger guys. Some guys that can really really complement this faction. I have no issue with the faction. I think they're a decent faction, so we'll see. Now, main event time, and it's Hit Row, and they look to score their next chart hit by working over and beating Legado del Fantasma in six-man tag team action. I gotta say, I love these two groups, and B-Fab is catching my eye lately. She's a pretty fine gal right there. And as the match is going on, they announced that Johnny Gargano and LA Knight will go one-on-one, and Kyle O'Reilly and Duke Hudson will look to continue what was started backstage earlier in a backstage scuffle. These two matches are going to take place next week. And let's go to the match. And man, Top Dollar is all over Legado. And with all three men, he's got, what's his name? I always forget. Mendoza and, God, what's old boy's name? Oh, Joaquin Wild. Have them on his back. And then running at him is Escobar. He jumps on him and he catches him. He's on his front. And what he does is he shrugs off one of the guys, and then he does and then here, delivers the world's strongest wasteland, as said by Wade Barry. His move Wasteland, which I always thought was a weak move because all he did was just held somebody like this and then he fell forward. And I don't think, not even fall forward. He just went like this, and then he would just throw him down. I'm like going, it never to me was impressive. I don't understand how he beat anybody with that move he did, but it's just like it didn't look strong enough to be like a move that would impress you. But it was impressive because Top Dollar had three people on his back. He even walked around and then just dumped them. Now, this is all happening, and then Legado get back into it, and they isolate Adonis. But then all four men get into it, and Swerve Sky hits a 450 splash on Escobar. It's only good for a near fall. Now, B-Fab gets she's definitely just had it. She's tired of it. Like she even said that, and she pushes Escobar into the ring post on the outside. Then all of a sudden, this female shows up. This I don't know who is she, and she's Electra Lopez. I remember seeing her in a match a few weeks ago, or maybe even last week. She evened things up by attacking B-Fab with a steel pipe. And then she throws a steel pipe, and Swerve catches it. He gives it to the referee. He's like, hey, I got nothing to do with this, Turns around, or doesn't turn around. He just gets rolled up by Escobar, and he gets a victory for Legado. Now, I know I've had issues with always ending in a roll-up, but somehow it worked here. Somehow it did. See, sometimes it does work, and sometimes it looks more like a crutch that they just want a quick ending, and so let's call for a roll up. But this one is something that should happen because it's like it caught them off guard, kind of a thing, and it worked, because sometimes it looks like it's just being used because you just want to have a quick way out, but it worked here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It has to go along with the situation. You know what I mean? You can't just flip that damn roll up all the time, because then it just looks like I said, it just looks like a crutch, like something, you know what I mean? But I like the NXT, and I thought it was really well done. Not a lot of there's no silly in ring segments, no stupid interviews. a Raw, you can kind of take you know take a look at NXT and use that as a template because they know how not to annoy you. They know how not to use the same thing that they've done before, and if they have, they do it in a clever way. They kind of put a twist on it. It's not like Raw where they just take the same copy and paste from last week kind of thing. You know, it's like how do you do that? How do you do that in 3 hours and not yeah, yeah, and shut up, okay? For those of you who are like, oh, this guy's gonna be bashing Raw again. Yeah, I always want to bash Raw. I'm always going to shit on Raw whenever I have a shot or a chance, because I will. Because they need to get their act together, you know. Or maybe I'll seriously stop watching Raw. Because I got enough things to deal with in my life, and I don't want to have this thing stressing me out watching that stupid show. You know. But anyway, I loved NXT. I enjoyed it. I think that it really does. It just flows. It's just so smooth the way it goes. You know what I mean? There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, and that's how it should be. You know what I mean? They got they got a beginning segment and an ending thing, and then it book ends everything else, and everything comes together. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. But well, that's my video. That's my NXT afterthought, and my thoughts are is like I said, I love this show. I love this show NXT. Nothing more I can say. So for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care.